let me start. So today's webinar is of course structured by different general areas of RapidAuthor and other products of Cortona3D, but we will start with the procedure authoring with Rapid Manual specifically. So the first feature that I would like to talk is about the way we can create custom movements along predefined intermediate points, so-called animation keys. As you know, this feature was there in the previous versions of RapidAuthor, Rapid Manual. However, in this release we changed the way animation keys are created. So let me show you what I mean by that. So this is a Rapid Manual sample geometry here. Now, to add animation to basically create a customized path for the animation, what you have to do is this. You select an item, click this icon in the procedure editor called New Transform Action, or Control T. Now, here you select one of the action types. All these actions are to do with movements and transformations, so we just select the general one, move. Okay, now immediately you see there is a window called Edit Animation Key. Edit Animation Key. What you do here, you simply drag or move your item in 3D or using the advanced precise transform menu, and then once you are okay with the position, you click New Key here, and it fixes the position. So let me show you. So I'll drag the item. I click New Key. So this is now saved. Now I move it again somewhere. Click New Key again, and you see these diamond-shaped icons are appearing on the timeline corresponding to the transform item. It means there is a animation key here. Now we move it again, New Key, and again. And there is no need to click New Key button in the very end for the last key. Hit OK, and now this is our movement along a customized path with several intermediate points. You can specify as many intermediate points as you like, but as you can see, the essence is that it is way easier to create intermediate points than it was in the past. In the past, you had to double click on the timeline and then move the item in the 3D window. It was a bit more difficult. So this is the first feature that we changed. Now, moving on, we also got a change with transform action. Let me just delete this action first. Now, in the past, when you were adding any actions that involved the movement, immediately when you played the action, the initial default animation was a transformation or movement along axis Y in by one bounding box. Now we removed this default predefined movement and just left no animation at all. Now a user has to define the endpoint in the very beginning, like so. So as you know, in the past you had to click either reset or initial to switch back to the original position and then create an endpoint. Now we discarded that, and this saves a few clicks basically. So there is no initial movement along axis Y anymore, as you can see. The third point here, actions are expanded in procedure edit upon creation. So any actions that involve some kind of animation, movement, automatically expanded when you create them. Again, this is to do with usability and user experience. So it saves you a click. So let's just again place a movement action. As you can see, it is immediately expanded. So you see individual atoms, and you can right away click transform field, and you are bringing up the window. Before this release, it was collapsed like so. So you had to expand it, consuming one click. Now, moving on, next point. Again, user interface related. It is now possible to resize new action and select item or collection windows. These windows are now expandable, as you can see. It is for small windows, small screens, large screens, for easier comprehension of information, basically here. And this window as well, select item or collection. Whenever you got a lot of collections, it is much easier to see them all at once if you just expand this window. The next feature, we added a small icon that allows you to remove all your bookmarks at once in the procedure editor. I will just place another action here, like so. So we now have two actions. As you know, it is possible to place bookmarks for your own reference. They are not shown in the end publications, but author can just use them for their own convenience. There is an icon here, the new one, clear all bookmarks. It allows you to remove all your bookmarks at once. Okay, moving on. Some names of functions and atoms changed. What this means, basically we rewarded some of the atoms so that it is easier to understand really what they mean. So let me show you a few examples of that, such as this one: height, fade out, keep viewpoint. Before that it was called somewhat less clear. And now we renamed some of these individual atoms, and they appear more consistent, and it's easier to basically comprehend what they mean really. You can see here, for example, show consists of fade in, and then it keeps the original. Now we proceed to the Rapid Catalog and the changes and new features related to Rapid Catalog specifically. The first change here is that it is now possible to copy, to clone DPL rows. It basically, again, it saves you retyping all those values individually, but it also keeps the metadata connections when you perform this clone action. It is useful to some of our clients. So this is the feature that we added. Once again, right-click, context menu here, clone. Clones the actual values and all the associated metadata connections with the path and other elements. The next thing, as you can see here, we added revision status of IPC page when there is any change that involves illustrations on that IPC page. As you know, Rapid Catalog supports revision marks. Revision marks are these vertical bars, for example, that you see in the DPL table. They imply that there is a change compared to the previous revision of this publication. Now we also automatically generate these indicators for the IPC pages. So let me just expand this page here. I suppose it has an attached illustration here, as you can see. So if we just generate another image for this for this IPC page take some time. Once we do this, we are going to see that vertical bar next to the icon of IPC page. And this revision mark will be shown in the HTML publications and PDF as well. You can see here now we see a vertical bar next to the icon. It implies that there is a change. Now, if we were to have a section plate, changed it, it will also affect this this bar. Now, if we generate a preview of this illustration, so this is page 01, we should see this revision mark. It's taking some time on this machine specifically. As you know, it's normally takes only a few moments. Now, this is the IPC page that we changed. We specifically, once again, we only changed the illustration, but we also, of course, cloned those DPL rows. So as we can see here, this R letter signifies that something has changed here. It's a revision mark, and here's the revision mark next to the sheet. And it's also displayed in PDF according to the information standard. Okay, next. Yes, this is a rather important change that we implemented, that it is now possible to edit the part associated or connected to a DPL row once it has already been created. So in the past, you couldn't edit the path once you created a DPL row. Now it is possible to edit that. Now, as you know, DPL rows, they are associated, they are linked to paths. So if you simply, so for example, this is a cloned DPL row. In fact, there are 3 of them with their, they are linked with the identical paths. So if we start changing values here, they all will get changed for all the DPL rows that are looking at the same path. And the point is that when you create a new DPL row, what you should do, you shouldn't manually create a DPL row with the same path number. Instead, you should just select an appropriate path number here in this window, and then they will be correctly associated, and you would not see the number in brackets corresponding to the same path number. Let me just show you what this all means. So let's just open a sample location here. So if we are to change, rather add new DPL row, and we wanted to basically use these values, some of them, and by the same path number manually, what you see is that a Rapid Catalog would not allow you to do that. It would attach number in brackets, implying that it is duplicate. The correct way of doing this is when you create a new DPL if you want to associate it with the same path, you should actually select it here, like so, and then it will be connected, and there is no number in brackets. And now if you start editing here, as you can see, they are now appropriately connected to the original path, and so all the values are changed at once. And as I said, it is now possible to change the path once you have already created it, just to any other path that you have here in the project, like so. Now, next point here, it's a new feature. It's not something that was there. We added the possibility to generate different IPC pages, to activate specific DPL rows, and to attach illustrations when you import your bill of material into Rapid Catalog via Excel. This is not a very commonly used functionality, but it is possible not to just import the 3D data, the standalone or the team center, but it is also possible to import the Excel file containing DPL table. The DPL table will get imported. But prior to this version, all we had are simple columns and values. What is now possible with version 12.1 is to create an Excel file not only containing the regular columns, but also a special column called active pages. It shows, it lists all the IPC pages for which the associated DPL routes should be activated upon input automatically, and also a recommended page. As you know, this is a specific functionality for Rapid Catalog. And since Excel also supports several, multiple worksheets, you can create pages, worksheet called pages, and here you would specify all your IPC pages that you would like to create upon input, like so, view A, view B, and even specify illustrations that you would like to attach automatically. So in this case, I have prepared two CGM images that I would like to attach upon input. They can be CGMs, SVGs, and raster images as well. So let's perform input of this particular Excel file and see how this looks like. This is the Excel file that I have just shown you. What it says here is that 3 DPL rows, 2 IPC pages, and 2 2D images. And this is the DPL table. As you can see, we have IPC page view A, which only has 2 activated rows, which are those that we specified in the Excel file. There is a second IPC page called view B with all activated DPL rows. And we also have, of course, those attached illustrations from CGM files correctly attached. So now if we just if we just publish this right away, we have almost completed spare part catalog based on 2D data, of course, but it is also possible to import 3D data as well. And since that CGM images contained callouts with the same hotspot region names, they are now also automatically linked, as you can see. Now we also have a feature that allows you to import Excel file, DPL table from Excel file, and then to import CAD data, 3D data, and automatically linked items, 3D items with this DPL table coming from Excel file. But this is something that needs to be configured by us. So if you ever need this, please apply to us and we will assist you in achieving this. Okay, next area is new or change functionality with S1000D authoring. Okay, now let me show you the sample S1000D project here. As you know, here we have a few filters on this drop-down fields that allow you to filter your DPL rows by this criteria. What we added in this release is a possibility to filter your rows by a service bulletin and model numbers. These values are specified here. This is a native S1000D feature. Let's call it feature. So you add those values here using the interface of Rapid Catalog. You attach them as appropriate, and in the end, in the HTML publication specifically, you are able to filter your output in this way. Service bulletin 1, service bulletin 2, like so. Next, it is possible now, we also added the possibility to import IPD data module into Rapid Catalog. So supposing you created your project, you imported cut geometry, but you have your IPD data module, so the actual DPL table in terms separately authored somewhere else, you can import the entire DPL table here into the project, like so. Tools, S1000D import IPD data module. The next point is that we synchronize the output of DPL table in S1000D between 2D PDF and HTML output. This is a small cosmetic thing, really. What we mean here is that we revert back to the original state here. As you can see here, we have those service bulletins beneath the description, and we have these values as well presented in this particular way. Before that, in the 2D PDF that you could generate straight from Rapid Catalog, the DPL table looked somewhat differently. What we did, we synchronized the way DPL table is presented in both HTML and 2D PDF. Just for clarity purposes here, as you can see. It's all the same look and feel in the Rapid Catalog itself, in the HTML application and PDF. Okay, next, now we move on to the procedural documents and Rapid Manual in context of S1000. We added the new element, which is part of S1000D standard, and it is a footnote element. Let me find, yes, this is an example that I already created here as required. Now the way, I will show you how this looks in the end publication in a minute, but first I show you how to add it. Basically place the pointer wherever you need and insert footnote tag and type the text. Validated, and now let's look how this document looks like in HTML and then in PDF. So this is HTML5 plugin-less publication. This is the first footnote here with number 1. If I click on it, I would see the actual footnote text, sample text, and then this is the second footnote. So it is implemented in this way. In plugin-based publications, they are also supported, but they are just shown immediately when you hover over the footnote number. Now, if we generate PDF, they will look slightly different, but in compliance with how S1000D requires them to be displayed. So this is the bit where we inserted them, the first one and the second one, and the actual text of a footnote is displayed uh, in the bottom of the page here, as 1000D prescribes it, like so. Okay, next S1000D related functionality. We implemented what's called internalization and externalization of warnings and cautions in documents. What this means, again, this is S1000D thing, simply implemented something that is there in the information standard already. What this is an ability to create a collection of different warnings and cautions in the beginning of the document or somewhere else, and then to create internal references across the document in different steps, and simply the warning cross-referenced from the original warning, and you can reuse those warnings, and there is no need to retype those warnings and cautions all the time. So the way you do this, I have a few samples placed here already, but let me just delete it. So you place your point immediately after the tag content, and here what you need to do, you need to insert a tag called warnings and cautions, like so, and in this container you insert all the warnings that you need to use in your document. And let's type something. So this is just one warning. We can have a few dozens of them. If we go to the step, let me just delete this. So this cross-reference that doesn't exist anymore. Let's just place some here in this, just before this step 2.2. Right click here, set warning caution reference from collection. So again, this is a collection. This is the window that we added. Here, let me just remove this. Here, we just select the type of a collection with a caution warning. We only have a warning, just one warning that we just created. It's on the right hand side here. Click OK, and it is now inserted here. Like so. What happens here if we publish? Obviously, the original warning collection in the very top of the document will not be displayed. We will only see the warning here in the place where we placed it, and this also works for PDF, of course. Now, what we mean by externalization in brackets through Teamcenter is that it is possible to create a separate Cortona item in Teamcenter with the collection of your warnings and cautions, and then to use them or reuse them in a separate data module, in a separate Cortona3D item for S1000D. It is implemented the same way that Common Information Repository was implemented in the previous release of RapidAuthor. And finally, the last thing on S1000D is that it is now possible to create a SCPM package. SCPM is for training or learning courses in S1000D standard. So it is now possible to create a SCPM package locally and to edit. In the previous release, we actually added SCPM in the first place, but the editing was only possible through Teamcenter. And now it's possible to generate the package locally. Let me show you how this is implemented. For this, I need actually rapid text, rapid manual. The specification that we added specifically for this package is called S1000D SCPM 4.1, issue 4.1 rather. Here we generate a document inside the project. And here you see in the top part of the window an icon that allows you to insert some data module. This window here allows you to search for your data modules. In case of Teamcenter, it would search the entire Teamcenter, or talking about local, standalone local mode, then this is it looks for your local working space. So basically, we can perform a custom search here by different criteria. I'm just opening here all the projects that in this particular working space. Now let's insert this data module, procedural one, and then another one with parts catalog, and another one. So I'm just creating a structure out of already existing, pre-existing data modules. It is also possible to move elements around and also create a tree-like structure. So I can place some data module beneath another one, like so. Now let's just generate SCPM package and see how it looks. Time as it republishes all these 3 projects, but in the end we will have a complete package that we can then place into learning management system and use for training courses or computer-based trainings. Okay, as you can see here, this is the navigation menu on the left-hand side, one of the modules that we added, and this is another one, third one. This is, once again, this is SCPM S1000D. In the previous release, we added the ability to generate SCPM package through Teamcenter. Now it is also possible to create package standalone mode without Team Center. Now let's go back to the general authoring and interface of RapidAuthor. So there's no specific reference to the specific application. So this equally applies to Rapid Manual, Rapid Learning, Rapid Catalog, and all the RapidAuthor family applications. The first thing that I would like to show you is a few changes that we added to do with manipulator. Now, the principal thing that is now possible, if we insert some object, it doesn't matter where it comes from object gallery or from your cut data. The point is that it is now possible to edit the position of your manipulator. The manipulator is this tripod here, with which acts as a reference point for your rotation. It actually also be used for attaching to other objects. So what we have done, it is now possible to move this manipulator, the reference point, and save it. Close this window, forget about it, and then once you open it again for editing, it will stay in the same place. And the need for this is quite obvious, is that you quite often need to reposition items several times, and then you don't really want to lose the position of this reference point. In the past, it was not getting saved. Now it is being saved. Now the second change that we added to do with manipulate is that it is now possible to use this very point for attaching, for aligning this whole item with another item. So we added this third point here called manipulator point. It's now possible to align this item using this point with another item, like so. Let me select some item here. I'm not sure where to attach, but you will see the end result here. As you can see, it attaches itself through this reference point. And this is quite useful because it saves a lot of manual labor. As otherwise, in the previous versions of RapidAuthor, all you had are these two options: either to use origin position. Origin is normally somewhere in the very beginning of the geometry, or the center point, geometrical center point of geometry, which could be, well, right here, and it is not particularly useful. So we added a manipulator point, and the manipulator point is now getting saved as well, so it saves a lot of time. Useful feature is that it is now possible to specify the default browser that you use when you launch preview. Here in the options, the window called preview, you can specify browsers that you have installed. In my case, I have selected Google Chrome, so whenever I launch preview of my publication in any RapidAuthor application, it uses that web browser. And of course, we do recommend to use, or rather not to use Internet Explorer. It's lagging behind other browsers in terms of performance. So, for instance, Google Chrome is quite good option. So we allow now to save and to specify the internet browser that you would like to use for preview mode. The next thing is that we now set HTML5 or plugin less publication as default. So whenever you install RapidAuthor from the whenever you initially install RapidAuthor, the use browser plugins option would be default to no. Just note this in case you're using plugin-based publication. So this by default is no, as most of our clients nowadays use HTML5 publications. The next thing, we added the possibility to create 2D PDF publications for repeatable constructions, data task, and data specifications. Let me just open some repeatable constructions publication here. So what we added is an option, generate PDF output for repeatable constructions. And the same is true about the task, data topic specifications. The next point here is the ability to reset layout, quite useful. Whenever you obviously use RapidAuthor in production environment, you rearrange different Windows panels across your working space. It is now possible to revert everything back to factory settings, so to speak. View reset layout. It all reverts to the original state. This is true about all RapidAuthor applications, including 2D editor. So once again, view reset layout. The next item, this is a rather cosmetic change, is that it's possible to hide unused metadata. This is particularly useful for S1000E, for example. Show you some. In this particular case, we have a lot of data actually. Well, there is an item that allows you to hide empty values. Actually, it was hidden in my case. So as you see, there are missing or just empty values. In case you have a specification that contains a lot of individual metadata elements, hide them, reducing the visual clutter on your screen, like so. Hide empty. The next item on the list of changes is that it is possible to display current frame rate in the RapidAuthor. This is purely for troubleshooting purposes. They are not displayed in your end publication. So if you go to Tools Options, 3D View General, here is an item called Display Frame Rate. The frame rates are displayed in the bottom right corner here. At the moment they're showing around 30 or 40 FPS. This is useful for comparisons of different workstations and whether they're able to handle your project well and so on. Another evident and apparent change is that all SVG files, these illustrations, vector illustrations, that RapidAuthor generate, they comply with the official W3C SVG schema. So they pass the validation. And another also apparent change is that the version of data for data topic, data task, and generic IPC can be specified in the document. This is sometimes needed with Team Center and with content management system specifically, as it sometimes requires you to specify a specific data version. And the last thing on this list, this is not something that I can show you right away, but if you have any toolbars or buttons for different macros that you created or that we created for you, they're only now getting shown for the specific specification component that is currently being used in the specific project. So features that are not applicable to this specific specification are not shown here. This is something cosmetic, but still I show noted. And finally, really, several default settings that we changed. First one I already mentioned is that HTML5 publications is a default type of HTML publication. Another one is the colors of the 3D window with that light gray color, anti-aliasing, which is enabled by default, and display of access here. These settings can be changed here, of course, and the access as well. Okay, now we move on to the end publications. So not to authoring interface, we're talking about end publications, HTML5 specifically. What added is the possibility to use transparency bar in end publication. So your end user can hide certain items in the 3D view or set a transparency. This setting is disabled actually by default. So in the publish options, what you have to do is to check yes for show selection bar. And this is the selection bar that I here. This is the selection bar in the bottom of this window. So what I can do, I can set arbitrary transparency or completely hide this element. This is something that was possible for some of the Rapid catalog specifications. Now it is universal HTML output. And if you need to reset this, just right-click reset. And it all reverts back to the original state of this publication. So once again, this is turned off by default, and in publish options, this option is called show selection bar. And also you could see on that selection bar is that it is selection bar just above that. There is an icon that allows you to align the camera horizontally. It is not such a major thing, but still useful navigating around your 3D scene. So, align horizon. It is not connected to the selection bar. It is here among all other modes. We also added revision marks to 2D PDF publications based on generic IPC specifications. So revision marks were there for HTML applications, but they were missing in DPDF. There as well. Now, other changes on RapidAuthor involve that we cease to support 32-bit versions of RapidAuthor, and there is now a singular publishing tool, bulk publishing. Prior to that, we had individual tools for Rapid Menu, Rapid Catalog. Now they're all combined into one, and you can republish all your projects in bulk using this tool. The tool is indicated here by this path. and obviously a number of bug fixes. Now let me show you the changes on RapidAuthor connector for TeamCenter, the TeamCenter integration. Please note that the version of new connector is 6.0. In fact, the only new feature that we added with this release in particular is the so-called reviewer module. This module allows you to add comments and notes to your Cortona3D items. So what you would see here is this module here on the right hand side. You open it by expanding your original Cortona3D item and then clicking on the revision, and then from here you click on this reviewer button, and here here you see the interface for actual notes and comments. Here I can obviously specify the name and the description. And it is also possible to reply to your comments, or another person can do that. Of course, it's up to the workflow that you have implemented in TeamCenter. It is also possible to attach files to your notes and to generate image of what you are seeing in the Cortona3D preview. So whatever is shown here can be immediately saved as a screenshot and also attached to the node. Important note here is that all the nodes are attached to a specific revision of Cortona3D item. So for a different revision, you would have a completely different set of nodes, and they're not following each other. So this is how this implementation of commenting works. Now let me proceed to the Cortona3D edit. The version of this tool is now version of 5.0. First I will launch some sample illustration. Generate a new image. Now back to the slide. What we added is a new corner objects. So if I draw with some primitives such as a polyline, what I can do once I have the primitive selected, if I go to shape and this entry here, what I can do is specify one of these three new effects such as chamfer, and here I specify the distance or radius, like so. And if I select an individual point of polyline, I can also apply this effects, this corner effects to this specific, as you can see, specific corners, like so. And this works for other primitives as well. Now next point, subject of Cortona3D editor, is that we added a new text properties. And these are very simple, nothing major really. Added the ability to underline it in the property inspector and to add a strike through, like so. Very simple, two new text properties, and they are controlled through property inspector. Property inspector located here in the bottom right corner of your screen. Now, the new feature, which is particularly useful to those who create technical drawings and spare part catalogs, is that there is a new parametric object table in the 2D editor. So if I just edit this image again, we go to the shape gallery and scroll down. Here we see a number of predefined templates for tables. Just double click, resize it immediately, but all the properties, once again, this is parametric shape, really, parametric object. So the properties are directly controlled from the property inspector here. So what I can do, I can specify a number of columns, rows, and all the styling attributes that you can imagine that you can apply all here. So I can specify line types, the widths, and the fonts, and the colors, and everything else. Obviously, when I actually need to type a text, I simply double particular cell and type typing. It's possible to use copy paste, that's obvious. Now if you want to drag the table, as you can see, you drag it as a single shape, like so. It's actually in the meter file explorer, you see it's placed as a separate element here, so this is why you can do it as a single element, like so. Okay, the next thing on the list is as a new mechanics of dragging callouts. So we just polished the way that you can manipulate callouts, and I will now show you all the ways that you can use to drag your callouts. Now this is the callout object here. So the first way we can manipulate callout is by dragging one of the ends of the leader line. So the actual callout, the text stays roughly in the same place, but we drag and move the leader line. If we drag by the opposite side, it moves in this way. Now, if you want to resize the hotspot region, resize it like so. And finally, if you need to move the callout as a single shape, you simply hover over the callout itself and just move it like so. So this is a rather changed way of manipulating a callout. So all the imaginable ways of moving your callout are here, really. The next thing, which is particularly useful if you create callouts manually, is that hotspot names can be automatically linked to callout values. What I mean is this: just place a manual callout. Okay? Now the content, as you can see, is ABC. Now if say I have a DPL table which has a row with the item number 7, and I want just to save time and basically automatically link everything together, what I need to is to select this property auto name as on, and your name the name of the hotspot would correspond to the content of the callout. Obviously, you don't have to select the the author name as on all the time. What you can do instead, you can save this as your default style for callouts, and all your hotspot names would always be coming from the content of the callout. So this is for the manual of your custom placed callouts. Something else also to do with defining your default styles is that what you can do now. There is a very simple button that allows you to set a default style through this icon here, update default style. In the past, what you had to do, you had to open this manage styles window and click set default here. So it saves you a few clicks, really, just a small icon here, update default style. Okay, now snapping of text objects. This is a minor thing, really. So if we type some text, and we should have the option snapping enabled, snap to object. Now, if we just drag some primitive towards this text, we will see a reference line bottom and to the side, to either side of this sample text, like so. We also now support guidelines that are appropriate for axonometric projections. In this particular case, if we just switch to this projection, we need to have a ruler enabled here. Now, if we start dragging our pointer from this upper ruler from right to left, it would create a guideline in this way. If we drag from left to right, it's placed in this way, and the left ruler is always vertical, like this. So the guidelines respect angles that you have defined for your read. And just as with RapidAuthor, it is now also possible to reset everything, all your windows, all your panels, shape galleries, everything. If you have multiple screens and you have placed or misplaced some panels somewhere, you can simply go to view and then reset your layout here. It's everything back to the original state. Of course, it reverts only the windows and panels. It doesn't change the default settings, all the default styles, everything else. Only the position of panels and various windows. Now, on the topic of Rapid Developer separate products, it is now possible to translate the names of actions, functions, and atoms into other languages. So, for the benefit of your authors, you can translate all these actions and also individual atoms as well here. So it is now possible to translate this with the use of Rapid Developer, Rapid Specification. On the topic of data input, we have talked about possibility to input Excel with new features such as IPC pages and 2D illustrations automatically. Now it is also what we have done. We improved performance of the input, so you should notice that it takes less time to input your CAD data, and we also now support these new CAD formats. corresponding version. So of course this is applicable to either standalone RapidAuthor or for RapidAuthor for Teamcenter with Rapid Data Converter module. And this concludes our webinar. These are all the features that we have on the list. There are a few others, very minor, but in principle I have shown features or changed. Thank you everyone for participating in this webinar. I hope you will find all the features and changes exciting and at least useful for your daily work with RapidAuthor and Cortona3D products. I thank you and bye.